Okay, about a year ago, maybe a little longer, I downloaded Midjourney. If you're not familiar with Midjourney, it's the AI prompt program for making various pictures through prompts. It was an early, well, I was an early adopter of it just to see what it was all about. And I made several photos, and of course you had a limit, and then you had to pay and subscribe, so I just kind of let it be, and I haven't used it since. Just say at the time, it made some pretty funny photos. Some with, I didn't even know what to ask. The funny thing is, when you actually want a picture made, I prefer to draw it myself if I can, but I wanted to say, well, how about Jerry Garcia and Billy Strings fighting on top of a psychedelic pyramid? I still have those pictures to this day, and they're pretty funny. And I'm thinking, well, they're less than convincing, but damn, they sure are close. And I talked about it at the time, and I remember people saying, well, AI pictures will never come close to reality, and they'll never be able to match, people will always know. And I just said, well, I strongly disagree. At the rate that things are going, we are going to be in some trouble in the long run if we think that, because we'll be convinced things are real that aren't. Like, for example, I could make a video about me over here picking these raspberries. See, I'm so distracted, I don't even know what they are. Or maybe I'm AI and I just don't know the proper term. How can you be sure? Today there are videos just like this. A guy holding a camera, very convincing, a few slight issues, sometimes with hand gestures or, eyebrow movements that you can kind of tell there's something going on. But let me just say that's only been a year. Give it another year, and then another year. And these, of course, are only the programs that are available to the public right now. The ones that are probably the very, top of the line programs are only being used by those who have the power and the resources to do so. And just like the stock market had been manipulated through using these types of predictive algorithms in the past, they're always available to the wealthy before the average person. So in other words, you're already being, sprayed with propaganda constantly through AI that you're not even aware of, I'm sure, okay? So all that aside, I mentioned this in the previous video, and that's where I was going, How are we gonna know what's real and what's true? That's its own problem. But I said I was gonna do a part 2 and discuss the issue with art. Now, I consider myself an artist. I feel like it's kind of an arrogant term these days. Growing up, I just loved making stuff out of anything. When I was really young, I made a lot of jewelry out of hemp jewelry back in the early 90s. It was really popular. So I made my own Fimo clay beads and I'd put those on. But I also like to draw and paint and anything that's creative. I'm just a creative person. I like to be creative. And it comes and goes. I played guitar and various instruments. I just like making things. And then I remember on YouTube, maybe 15 years ago, 12 years ago, early in my YouTube days, there was this painter from New York that was one of my subscribers, and he had his own channel too. And I posted something about art, and he started debating me about what art was. And up until that point, I'd never really encountered an extremely arrogant, hostile defender of what he considers to be art. Because to me, it's like, well, artists should just want to share the experience with others, right? Like, as an artist, I want to say, look, this is the best I can do. Oh, yours is amazing. And share these things. But artists are very competitive. It's funny. It's funny this pops into my mind because I was talking to my son about this the other day. He's 30, he plays in a band, and he was talking about the competitive nature of various bands, especially when there's any drama of a bandmate joining another band, this kind of stuff. And it got me thinking. I was like, yeah, I remember that too. When I was playing with my brother in 2010, we were in a punk band, and then I joined another of his bands, a jam band, but we had this drummer that played a double kick pedal, and he was a metal drummer in a jam band situation. It was really unique, but they clashed egos, and so the drummer ended up getting kicked out or leaving or whatever. And there's constant band drama over competition and ego, but that's understandable. I was thinking competition between bands is a weird thing. It's like competition between artists. You have a totally different style. You have your own thing. It should always be about propping each other up, right? And there's a huge artistic community that is like that. Let's just say the alternative kind of hippie art community, they're very supportive of one another, especially here in the Portland area. And it's really cool. You know, they set up at these concerts and events, and they'll set up all their different booths. And we've tried to support a couple of local artists, you know, by, you know, I want to support the small guy, right? And a lot of people do. And then along comes AI art out of the blue. It allows you to just make a picture that is so convincing that, you know, you could have AI make the picture and then maybe paint over it or add a few brush strokes, you know, or maybe kind of make it look like you really did it. I mean, we already know that there was somebody who made an AI art piece and it won an award in like some, you know, some very respected art show, right? And it started this controversy. Dude, this was like, what, 3 years ago now? I mean, the thing is, half the shit you're seeing, when you see a commercial that pops up on YouTube or an ad with a person talking about this or that and how great this new cream is for their butt, you know, these aren't even real people half the time, and people don't realize. I think that a lot of folks don't realize that a lot of the folks you're seeing in clips and short ads aren't even real people, and they're completely scripted by AI. Like, we are so immersed in this crap. But, you know, that's to be expected in the business community. But when it comes to art, I think that people are taking a stand, and I see a very strong resistance to AI-generated art as being valuable. A big pushback to it, which is only necessary. We have to do it, because if we normalize AI art, that's one thing. If we start normalizing every AI video, then pretty soon people are just going to be okay with turning on something that has fake pictures, that's been written by AI and then spoken by AI without any human intervention whatsoever. And in a lot of cases, that's exactly how it is. So I'm sure that, you know, if you're an avid YouTube consumer that's always trying different channels, you've probably watched at least one AI video in the past that you weren't aware was AI. Maybe you caught it pretty quick, maybe it took longer, but let's just say that a lot more people I've noticed are facing the camera now. It's something that I've always tried to do, just to show that authentic side of myself. And a lot of people are scared that people are going to think they're bots or they're not real people anymore. It's crazy. So I don't know what to do about it, but I think that there's enough resistance from the artistic community to where people really aren't going to tolerate it or accept it as normal. And that doesn't mean it's going away. It's still going to be a problem. So what do you think, Lucy? Does AI art concern you at all? Not even a little bit? That's good. It's something we can learn from dogs. Peace and love. Thank you to my peeps, patrons. Hit the like button, subscribe button, all that shit people say. And check me out on Patreon if you want some extras. And I'll see y'all next time. And I won't be the AI version of myself, I swear.